So as I said, Euthyphro's getting pretty tired, right? He's on his way to just bailing from the whole dialogue, but he's not bailing yet. So what have we got so far? We've got this idea that the Hoseian is Hoseian because of some internal essence, right? So that Socrates has got so far, but we still don't know what that essence is, right? Right. So it's not because the gods love it, right? So the position so far is the Hoseian is the Hoseian because of some internal essence that makes it what it is, not because the gods love it. If the gods love the Hoseian, it's because they recognize the Hoseian. They don't make something the Hoseian. Okay, so Socrates is like, okay, well, we're getting a little something. We've determined something. It's not nothing. We've at least established the, shall we say, maybe the Hoseian's independence. Now, that's important. Keep in mind that right now it's the Hoseian is independent of God love. Okay, because you have to keep that in mind because we're going to come back to that a little bit later. Okay, so instead of going further into the essence of the Hoseian, Socrates tries yet another point. So this is another turning point in the dialogue. And just to give you an idea of what's going on here, because this is a different approach, think about if you were asked to define dog, you could say something like, well, dog is a mammal. But of course, there are lots of other things that are true statements. You could take the word dog out and put in elephant, right? So elephant is a mammal. Okay. So to make sure that this statement is more precise, you introduce, in addition to subsuming the concept of dog under the concept of mammal, right, which you could also do for elephant, you add what's called a differentia. So a dog is a mammal, and to get rid of the elephants, we say that barks. Elephants don't bark. So dog is a mammal that barks. But, of course, what this isn't quite precise enough because saying that is a mammal that barks would also include seals, right? Because seals make that barking noise, and they're mammals too. So dog is a mammal that barks. You would add more to the differentia. So dog is a mammal that barks and has four paws. So what you're doing in this kind of approach is finding where one concept fits under a larger concept, and you're trying to articulate more of how that smaller concept fits under the larger one. Here we're trying to get more precise of how dog fits into mammal without being lumped in with the elephants and seals. So this is Socrates' approach. Okay, he says something like this. Well, let's think about this. There's a link between the Hoseian and Dika. Remember justice. So there seems to be some kind of link between the Hoseian and Dika. And so the third definition, Socrates says, okay, so let's say the Hosea is Dika. Maybe that will be a good definition. Now, how do we unpack this the copula here, the is? Right? How do we unpack this? Is it identical? Are we saying that it's the same thing? Right? No, not really. Socrates doesn't go down that path. He says it's some kind of relationship, right? It's a whole or part. But which one is it? Is it related in the sense that Hoseian is related to Ditka the way dog is related to mammal, that it's a part of it? Or is it something else? Where maybe the Dika is part of the Hoseian. So they're related in some whole part fashion, but which one holds the other? If they're not identical and they fit together, one's inside of the other or vice versa. So which one is it? Socrates then goes off on a bit of a discussion of various concepts. And I'll just give you a couple of diagrams to help you move through the transition. He says, okay, let's put this aside because once again, Euthyphro's not sure what he's talking about. So he says, okay, well, is the Hoseian broader than Dika or narrower? Well, he uses a couple other more ordinary concepts like the fearful and the shameful. Wherever you have shame, you also have fear, but wherever you have fear, you don't necessarily have shame. And you can think of it in the context of like, you could fear something without being ashamed, without being worried about shame. Like you could fear getting sick, but you're not ashamed to get, fear getting some kind of illness, but it's not shameful. But anything that you think is shameful, you would fear if that happened. Like, I don't want to be embarrassed or ashamed about everything. So if I'm going to be ashamed about something, I'm fearful of that something. but I could be fearful of many things, right? I'm afraid of being robbed, but I'm not ashamed of it or whatnot. So that is a relationship of a whole part. And Socrates says, is that maybe that's how it's related? And he uses the example of the same thing here, like number. Is it like odd is related to number as part of it? Wherever you have odd, you have number, but not wherever you have number do you have odd, because friends, what would be here would be even numbers. So 3 would be in here, whereas 2 or 8 would be over here. So this is a discussion of definitions in terms of whole part relations. And what Socrates goes on to look at now is more in the, so the Hoseian is a part of Dika. So in other words, to lapse into a little English, is that the piety, and right religious behavior is a part of justice. It's a kind of, shall we say, it's even a kind of justice. And so in that sense, what we've got goes like this. In what sense is, if it is a part, yeah, so if it's a part of justice, that the Hoseian is a part of justice, what part of justice is it? Okay, so now it's, the Hoseian is what part? Okay, what kind of justice is the Hoseian? If we think it's a kind of justice, what kind of justice would it be? So in this sense, we're going to look at now we have to turn and look at Dika and its subdivisions. Okay, just like we had number, it had subdivisions of odd and even, and fearful had divided up into the shameful and the not shameful. Well, the same thing here. We're going to say if this is the justice, this is Dika. All right, so if this is Dika represented by the entire circle, how does this divide up internally so that we could put the Hoseian in here? So in other words, Hoseian, where we know it goes in there, but what part of Dika is the Hoseian? So that's our next question, is to further examine how in a more deeper way than just simply being a part of the whole, that Hoseian is, yes, it's a part of Dika the whole, but which part?